Love God above all other things. Love of God is technically called Bhakti. Last time we were going through the various definitions of Bhakti according to different scriptures. There are two well-known works on Bhakti Yoga in the form of sutras, NaradaBhaktiSutra and NaradaBhaktiSutra. NaradaBhaktiSutra is, comparatively speaking, very tough, very difficult to understand, because the very approach of Shandilya is more theological and philosophical. He has tried to prove that Bhakti is also a system of philosophy. It has its own teachings. But Narada doesn't seem to care for the philosophical side at all. He takes it for granted that there is a God. You have to realize Him through love. So right from the beginning to the end, the NaradaBhaktiSutras develops the philosophy of sadhana rather than the theological or philosophical side. NaradaBhaktiSutras defines Bhakti as sa para anuraktihi ishvare. That Bhakti is extreme attachment to the Supreme Lord who is ruling over the whole world. And Narada puts it in different way, Satu asmin parama prema rupa. That Bhakti is of the nature of extreme love towards Him who is our very self. Asmin, one who is here. So the Lord or God or Bhagavan is our Antaryamin. He is living in the heart of hearts of the devotees, the soul of our soul. Ultimately, it is divine love that has been defined by all these works. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, in one place, gives a very interesting definition of Bhakti. Now we have got a miser who is extraordinarily attached to his wealth. He loves his wealth. And there is the devoted, pure wife, Sati. She loves her husband. And there is the mother loving her baby, her child. So Sri Ramakrishna says, if all these three kinds of love are united and directed towards God, that is Bhakti, or it becomes Bhakti. So, Bhakti has got all these characteristics, extreme love, extreme attachment, and so on. Yoga, the word yoga, has been defined in two different ways. Yud samadhav, yujir yoge. So the first meaning is samadhi, perfect concentration. The second meaning is to be united. So to be united with God through concentration brought about by intense love, that is Bhakti Yoga. Yoga through Bhakti. Perfect concentration on the Lord through devotion and ultimately union with the Supreme Lord. Coming to the practical side, the various works on Bhakti Yoga sometimes divide Bhakti into various groups. Classification of Bhakti is done by these works in different ways. The first classification is Laukiki Bhakti, Vaidiki Bhakti and Adhyatmiki Bhakti. Laukiki Bhakti is very similar to the worldly law. It is Sakama Bhakti. People are not really interested in God by Himself, but they are interested in God as a means to their own end. Somebody is interested in getting wealth, somebody wants good health and strength and energy, somebody wants a job and so on. So they take refuge in God and pray to Him. This is called Laukiki Bhakti. Vaidiki Bhakti is actually a ritualistic type of Bhakti, following the methods given in the scriptures, especially the Vedic scriptures, Upasanas. But Adhyatmiki Bhakti is the highest, where the devotee is interested only in spiritual evolution, ultimately leading to moksha. Second classification is Manasi, Vachiki, Kaiki. Kaiki Bhakti. Bhakti at the level of the body, physical activities, that is the lowest. Cleaning the shrine, gathering the flowers, preparing things for puja, and so on. And even ritualistic worship. Vachiki Bhakti concerns speech, where we sing the bhajans, we repeat the name of God. So for this the Vagindriya is used. That is called Vachiki Bhakti. If we meditate upon God, that becomes Manasi Bhakti. Of course, in that meditation, there must be real love towards the Lord. Then the third classification, Sattviki, Rajasi and Tamasi, according to the three gunas. Sattviki Bhakti is Nishkama Bhakti. As Swamiji says, Bhakti for Bhakti's sake. The devotee doesn't want anything in life. He loves God above all other things because he loves God, that's all. Swamiji says in one place, I love the Himalayas. Why? I love the Himalayas because that is the most beautiful thing in this world. There is no reason behind it. So similarly, Sattviki Bhakti is absolutely Nishkama Bhakti. He doesn't want anything from the Lord. In the Rajasi Bhakti, there is a lot of desire motivated bhakti or devotion. He wants something in return. It's business. In Tamasi Bhakti, devotion towards the Lord is practiced in order to destroy somebody. Oh Lord, I want your help so that so and so can be destroyed, or he suffers from disease, and so on and so forth. We have got a very interesting story to indicate this. Two people, Mr. A and Mr. B, let us say, they disliked and hated each other. So both of them sat for meditation. They wanted to please the Supreme Lord and get what they want. So one person is sitting in this corner of the forest, another in the other corner. After a few days of tapasya, the Lord appeared before Mr. A and asked him, what do you want? Whatever you give to the other person, I want twice that. Then the Lord went to the other person and asked him, what do you want? Well, I want to know what the other person wanted. He said he wanted twice of what you asked for. Then he said, all right, let me lose one eye. Then the other person will lose both the eyes. So this is practically Tamasi Bhakti. Then comes the fourth category, which is indicated in the Bhakti Sutras of Narada, Parabhakti and Aparabhakti. Apara Bhakti is the lower Bhakti, Gauni Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti. What we all are practicing, that is actually Gauni or Apara Bhakti, the path of devotion that ultimately leads to realization. But the love of God that wells up in the heart automatically after realization, as it happened in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, Chaitanya and others, that is called Parabhakti. Parabhakti is actually a spontaneous expression of the inner joy. So you can't even call it as bhakti actually. It's the ananda expressed as a result of realization. Then we come to the 9 kinds of bhakti as described in the Bhagavata. It is called Navavidha Bhakti. This comes in the section on Prahlada's life. Whenever the teachers Shanda and Amarka are not there, Prahlada takes the seat of the Acharya and starts teaching about the Bhagavata Dharma, the religion of the devotees of God. So in that series we get this beautiful shloka. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktischennava. The first discipline or first category is Shravana, listening to the names and glories of the Lord. Second is Kirtana, singing the names and glories of the Lord. Third is Smarana, constant, continuous remembrance. Somehow or the other, keep the mind connected with God. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, suppose somebody has got tooth pain, whatever work he may be doing, a part of the mind is always on the pain. He is experiencing it, a part of the mind is conscious of that. So something like that, even though we are very busy with the various duties and activities of the world, let us try to keep a part of the mind upon God. That is Smarana. Then Padasevana, worshipping the holy feet of the Lord, especially the image of the Lord in a temple. Then Archana, ritualistic worship. Vandana, bowing down, especially Sashtanga Pranama. There are some people who take a pratigna, all right, every day 108 pranams to the Lord for 21 days, like that. So that is Vandana. Then comes Dasya Bhakti, like Hanuman. Sakhya Bhakti, friendship, like Arjuna's. Then Atmanivedana, total surrender, as in the case of the Gopis of Vrindavan. The Adhyatma Ramayana follows the story, pattern of the story given by Valmiki, more or less to the extent of 99%. But there, 2 things are prominent. One is, from the beginning to the end, the author projects Sri Ramachandra as Supreme God. He never behaves like a human being. He knows he is God himself. He has come there practically disguising himself in the human form. But he never forgets his divine nature. And secondly, whenever and wherever necessary, he shows his divinity and he even teaches others. Quite a good number of Vedantic teachings are there in the Adhyatma Ramayana. Whereas in the Valmiki Ramayana, we get such teaching only in 1 or 2 places. That too, the teaching just comes and goes. So Adhyatma Ramayana describes several kinds of bhakti through the dialogue between Sri Ramachandra and Shabari. Sri Rama has gone to Shabari's ashrama. After accepting her worship, when she requests him to reveal the true nature of bhakti, because her teacher had directed her to seek this teaching from Sri Ramachandra, she puts the question and Sri Ramachandra replies. Satam Sangatihi, company of the holy people. That's the very, very first step. So when we are in the company of holy people, automatically our minds rise to higher levels. The power of their character, personality is so strong that it can easily influence our minds. One of our Swamijis, who is now almost 89 years old, told me what happened when he had gone to Ramana Maharshi's ashrama before joining the Ramakrishna order. He had 9 questions, all connected with Advaita philosophy as also sadhana, spiritual life. So he went there. Ramana Maharshi was reclining on his bed, and probably 8 or 10 people were sitting in the room. All of them were quietly sitting, some of them closing their eyes in meditation. So our Swamiji also went there. He was not a Swami at that time, and just sat in front of Ramana Maharshi at a distance and sat in meditation, closing his eyes. And wonder of wonders was, slowly one by one, the questions came up in the mind, and along with that the answers. After about 30 minutes, when he opened his eyes, all the 9 questions had been answered, and Ramana Maharshi was looking at him smiling. It's a wonderful smile. So this is how great teachers can solve the problems of our spiritual life. They are called avadhutas. He was avadhuta of that type. Dakshinamurti is the ideal for all the avadhutas. So that is the effect of satam sangatihi. Then matkatha lapaha. Lord says in the Gita also that the moment 2 devotees or more of the Lord gather in a place, they start talking about the Supreme Lord. Whenever Sri Ramakrishna went to the devotees' houses in Calcutta, he totally discouraged them from talking about worldly things. In one place he went, he saw the newspaper. Immediately he said, we remove it from here, it is polluting the whole atmosphere. Of course, if we start listening to all the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, we will never be able to read the newspapers every day. Anyhow, his idea was entirely different. Samat katha alapaha, speaking about the Lord, His life, His doings, His teachings and so on. Exchanging thoughts and feelings also. Then madguna iranam, praising the qualities of the Lord. The Lord is sadguna sampanna. All the blessed qualities we can think of in this world, they are there in a concentrated form. So we have to proclaim the great qualities of the Lord to the whole world. We should try to practice at least what little we can and also spread it among the people of the world. Mad vachasam vyakhyatritvam. Now, the Lord has given His teachings through such works as the Bhagavad Gita, for instance. Bhagavad Gita is there, Anugita is there, Uddhava Gita is there. Quite a good number of Gitas are there, in which God Himself takes part as the teacher. There are more than about 60 to 70 works known as Gita. No, if you study such works, think over them and try to explain the meaning of these works to other people, that is also part of Bhakti Yoga. Mad vachasam vyakhyatrutvam, giving a commentary or expounding the teachings of the Lord to other people. Two things are done. One is our own mind is immersed deeply in the thoughts of God. Secondly, other people are also enlightened by what little we know. Once in the night class, we were talking about teaching other people. Sri Ramakrishna was very particular that you can never teach others unless you have got a license. So he was talking to Shashadhara Tarka Chudamani. That means one must get the command from the Lord, then only one can teach. Then we asked Yatishwaranji Maharaj, we have not realized God. But at that time we were all brahmacharis. Today or tomorrow we will have our sannyas diksha, and afterwards we are expected to sit and give discourses on shastras and scriptural works, spiritual teachings and so on. How can we do it without receiving the command of the Lord? Then he said, we are not sitting in the Gurusthan and teaching others. What little knowledge we have gathered from our gurus in the Guru Parampara, we are just giving it to others. That's all. In all humility, O Lord, this is what little I have understood. This has helped me in my personal life. I am trying to give it to others. Please guide me. If it is done with that spirit, it will definitely help us. It will be a part of our spiritual life. So, madvachasam vyakhyatrutvam. Then, amayaya madbuddhya sada acharyopasanam. We have got an acharya, a teacher who is teaching the scriptures or expounding the scriptures or guiding us in spiritual life. We should consider that the teacher is God himself. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. And we also chant Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu. So, Acharya Upasanam, worshipping, honoring the spiritual preceptor. How? Amayaya madbuddhya. Without any hypocrisy, without any evil feelings in the mind, and with the strong feeling, attitude that it is the Supreme Lord Himself who is working through the Guru. Amayaya madbuddhya. And how long? Sada. As long as I live, I am indebted to my Guru, my spiritual teacher, and I consider my spiritual teacher himself as God, or God himself has come in this form. With that attitude, you are expected to serve our teachers. Punya Shilatvam Yamadi Niyamadi Cha. One should always perform good deeds sanctioned by the scriptures, Punya Karma. Papa Karma, evil deeds have to be avoided. Punya Karma, holy deeds, good deeds that will help others must be performed. Along with that, Yama and Niyama, the 5 plus 5, 10 disciplines given in the Yoga Sutras, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya and so on. Then comes the 6th aspect of sadhana, Mat Pujane Nityam Nishtha. Deeply devoted to the worship of the Lord. The worship must be done every day. And every day in that worship there must be nishtha, deep love, faith, devotion. As we say in Kannada, Kata Charak Madadalla. Not just doing it because it has to be done. It should be done with great faith, feeling, devotion. Suppose we are doing the puja every day for 10 years, 15 years. Every day the same kind of faith must be there. If at all it must increase, it should not decrease. So, mat pujane nityam nishtha. Then sangam mama mantropasakatvam. Upasana of the mantra, that is japa along with meditation of the mantra given by the Guru, along with all the preliminaries. The traditional method of mantra diksha, certain steps are there which are taught to us. Rishyadinyasaha, that's the first one. A particular mantra is there. From whom has it come? This particular Rishi has given this mantra to us. Rishi. Then comes Devata. Who is the deity who is to be meditated upon, worshipped through this mantra? Rishi, Devata. The third is Chandas. Suppose the mantra is formed in a particular Vedic meter. We should know that also. When we talk of Chandas, it is not just the poetical meter, but the Chando Devata, the deity who presides over it and gives inspiration to compose the mantras through those meters. Then comes Anganyasa, Karanyasa, purifying the fingers and purifying the various parts of the body with appropriate mantras. There are two things here. One is spiritual purification. Second one, seating the different aspects of the deity on different parts of the body. So the divinity will take over our physical system, making it fit for spiritual life. Then comes Dhyana Shloka. That shloka describes the actual form of the deity on which you have to meditate. I don't know how many of you have seen the Mysore Palace. In one place there are 8 to 10 beautiful oil paintings of the Divine Mother. Under each painting the Dhyana Shloka is given. As per the description given in the Dhyana Shloka, the painting has been done. If the painter is also a great devotee and upasaka, then the painting will become adbhuta, wonderful, as if the deity is living through that. After that comes the actual mantra, which has to be learned from the Guru. Again, the mantra has got Omkara, then Bijakshara, then the name of the deity. Generally in the Chaturthi Bhakti dative case, Namaha, Swaha, Swadha. All the three are possible. Of course, in the Mantra Shastra, they use different technical words, that is Pullinga, Strilinga, Napumsakalinga. These mantras are of these three types. So, Namaha, Swaha, Swadha. Sangam mama mantropasakatvam. And at the end, after the japa is done, japa samarpana has to be done. For that also there are shlokas. Guhyati guhya goptatvam grihana smutkratam japam siddhir bhavatu me deva tatprasadat maheshwara, and so on. We may do the japa, we may do the prayer, but the results and the fruits should not be kept for ourselves. They should be offered back at the feet of the Lord. Then, mad bhakteshu adhika puja. There are devotees of the Lord. These devotees of the Lord are constantly and continuously thinking of the Lord, meditating upon Him, repeating His name, singing His names and glories. Therefore, they should be honored. At the end of the Mahabharata war, or after the Mahabharata war was over, Yudhishthira was crowned as the king, And after that, Vidura returned, who had gone out for a pilgrimage. So the Pandavas received him with great feeling, love, devotion, faith. Then asked him, "Well, uncle, where did you go all these days?" He said, "I had gone out for a Tirtha Yatra." Then Yudhishthira tells him, "Where is the need for people like you to go on a Tirtha Yatra or pilgrimage? Because you carry the Lord in your heart, and wherever you go, that place becomes a pilgrim center, and in fact the pilgrim center gets purified by visits of people like you. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani swa antasthena gadabhrata." They have got the Gadabhrat Narayana in their hearts. Therefore, Tirtha Kshetra, place of pilgrimage, is Tirthi Kurvanti. They make it more holy. That is why the Bhaktas of the Lord have to be worshipped. Mad Bhakteshu Adhika Puja. Then, Sarva Bhuteshu Manmatihi. Bhuta means living being, prani. Sarva Bhuteshu, in all the living beings, you must have the attitude that I am there in them. Manmatihi. In the Bhagavatam, there is one interesting shloka. The shloka says, a sannyasin is going in the street for bhiksha, and if he sees on the road a dog or a cow or a chandala or a horse, immediately he must do Sashtanga Pranama. Why? Narayana is coming in this form. So trying to see the Supreme Lord in everything and everybody, that is part of the sannyasin's life and sadhana. So that is what Sri Ramachandra is telling us. Sarva Bhuteshu Manmaitihi. So there should be no raga and dvesha. I like somebody, I dislike somebody. I should try to see the Lord in everybody. But Sri Ramakrishna gives a warning here. Yes, the Lord exists in tiger also, but we bow down to Tiger Narayana from a distance. We cannot go and embrace him, you see. Afterwards, Advaita Sthiti will come. He will eat us up and we will become one with the tiger. Bahya artheshu viragitvam shamadhi sahitam. There are a number of objects in the external world, objects of pleasure, which we like to possess and enjoy in life. They are bahya artha, but the mind should not be attached to them. Viragitva. Raga is attachment, viraga is detachment. Spirit of renunciation should come. In other words, whatever is absolutely necessary to maintain the body in good condition for sadhana, only that much should be accepted, the rest of them should be rejected. That is true vairagya. Because after all is said and done, the body is the gift of God. It is through this body and through this mind we are able to do our sadhana. So we have to keep it in fairly good condition for sadhana, purposes of sadhana, but not more. If that spirit is there, then our vairagya will be tailored according to our sadhana. Then what happens? Sometimes we may give up these objects of temptation, but the mind can get upset. I want to eat something, a nice object of food is there, but I control myself, I reject it. Externally I have followed the rule of the game, but internally the mind may be hankering. So he says, Shamadhi Sahitam. Shama, the mind must be at peace. Mind should not be upset by this process of vairagya. And finally, Mama Tattva Vicharaha. That is also equally important. That is, reflection on the philosophy of the Supreme Lord. There are Vedantic works, Upanishads, Gita for instance. There the nature of Brahman and Atman are described, and other things which are spiritually valuable. So one should reflect upon them, try to think upon them. The purpose of studying the Shastras is, firstly, as an aid to our own sadhana. It clears the mind, helps us in our sadhana. Secondly, sometimes a seeker of truth comes to us. We may be in a position to clear his doubts and help him. We may not occupy the Guru's seat and try to take him to the Lord. We may not be capable of that. But as Tagishan used to say, a person who is in the 10th class will be able to guide a boy who is in the 2nd or 3rd or 4th standard. Something like that. So this is the teaching about Bhakti given in the Adhyatma Ramayana. Towards the end of the NaradaBhaktiSutras, Narada has described 11 kinds of Bhakti. Bhakti or devotion can take any one of these forms, and we are free to choose any particular form which appeals to our own mind, which may be in consonance with our nature. Ekadasha Vidha Bhakti. Practically the very last sutra, penultimate sutra we can say. Guna Mahatmya Asakti. Deeply interested in the Lord's gunas and Mahatmya. Listening to that, knowing more and more about that. That we find in Vyasa, Shuka and Narada himself. And Rupa Asakti, being attracted by the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. Rama and Krishna were so extraordinarily beautiful, even the rishis were attracted towards them. So the gopis are the best example for this. Then comes Puja Sakti, deeply devoted to, attracted by ritualistic worship. Ambarisha is given as the supreme example for devotion or ritualistic worship. Smarana Sakti, always trying to remember the Supreme Lord, interested in remembering the Lord constantly and continuously. Prahlada is the supreme example for this. Then Dasya Sakti, Hanuman, always interested in serving the Lord. He doesn't want anything for himself. Then Sakhya Sakti, Asakti, interest in acting like a friend of the Lord or considering the Lord as supreme friend, best friend, Arjuna, Uddhava. Then Vatsalya Sakti, considering the Lord as the baby and oneself as the mother, like Yashoda or Kausalya. Because Kausalya's bhakti we don't hear much except a little in the Adhyatma Ramayana and Ramcharitmanas. Then comes Kanta Sakti, like Sita and Rukmini. Atma Nivedana Asakti, totally dedicating oneself at the feet of the Lord. Vibhishana and Bali Chakravarti are the examples. Vibhishana Sharanagati was total and complete. He had surrendered himself completely at the feet of Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra could know the depth of his feeling and the extent of his Sharanagati. That is why God gave him all the support that he needed. Of course, we find that Vibhishana was there at the time of coronation of the Lord in Ayodhya, and later on also he was there when Sri Ramachandra was reminded about his departure for Vaikuntha, and he got ready to go. He wanted all the people of Ayodhya also to go with him to the higher worlds, At that time, Vibhishana also came and told him, you please take me also. Hanuman and Vibhishana were left behind. Sugriva went with him. Hanuman did not want to go. Hanuman said, what is the boon you want? Well, I want to remain here and listen to Ramnam. Repeat Ramnam and listen to Ramnam. As long as Rama's name is being pronounced or repeated here, and I want to sit here, stay here and listen to that. Yatra yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam, we sing it, today we are going to sing it. Vibhishana actually wanted to go, but the Lord said, no, you must remain there as an ideal king and as an ideal devotee and show to the whole world by your life and by your devotion. So Vibhishana is supposed to be a Chiranjeevi. He is alive even now. He lives in Sri Lanka, and almost every day in the night, he comes after 12 o'clock, and between 12 in midnight and probably 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the early morning, he comes to see Ranganatha temple and worships him and goes back. The story is, Sri Ramchandra wanted to give him something which is very, very valuable. And in Sri Ramchandra's palace, there was the image of Ranganatha, worshipped by his ancestors for thousands of years. That is the Kula Devata of Ikshvaku Vamsha. So Sri Ramchandra said, there cannot be a better person than him, I will give this to him. And he took it. He wanted to take it to Sri Lanka, but on the way it became evening. He wanted to have his Sandhya Vandanam. He kept it on the ground. By the time he finished his Sandhya and came back, the image had got stuck firmly in the ground. He could not remove it. So some people later on discovered it and built a temple. Slowly it became a very big temple campus. And then Vibhishana decided that every day he would come there and worship the image. This is the story, Sthala Purana especially. So Vibhishana is the supreme example for Atma Nivedana Asakti. Then comes Tanmayata Asakti, mind totally dissolved in the Supreme Lord. Sanat Kumara, the four rishis, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata and so on, they are of that type. Minds are always immersed in the Supreme Lord. Then Parama Viraha Asakti. All these devotees, they also felt the intensity of their separation from the Lord when such separation came. The commentators say that these are different aspects of bhakti or bhakti yoga. So the devotees or those who want to practice bhakti yoga are free to choose any one of these 11 modes of bhakti. Whereas the modes of bhakti which are given by Sri Ramchandra in Adhyatma Ramayana, many of them can be practiced. Whereas here, only one has to be chosen as the path of, or the mode of bhakti yoga in our case. Either Guna Mahatmya Sakti, or Rupa Sakti, or Puja Sakti, and so on. Of course, it is possible to combine a few of them. It depends upon the sadhaka. Then the next topic is, who is the adhikari for bhakti yoga, for practicing bhakti yoga? Our scriptures are very particular to discuss this point, adhikari. Who is competent to take up the study of the scripture? Who is competent to take to this path of devotion or this path of spiritual discipline? What are the preliminary qualifications? It is something like this. If you want to get admission into the medical degree or the engineering degree, you must have passed the PUC, and then you must have passed it also probably quite brilliantly. Otherwise you won't get a seat. So, in the same way, our Shastras also prescribe certain lakshanas or characteristics for any person to take to the path of devotion. In the Bhagavata, Uddhava Gita, in the 11th skandha, the Lord says, Krishna says, Yadrichaya mat kathadau jata shraddhastu yah puman na nirvinno nati sakto bhakti yogaha asya siddhitaha. Now there is a person here. Suddenly, somehow we cannot explain, he becomes interested in listening to the glories of the Lord. A little faith comes into his heart, into his mind. Actually, he is na nirvinnaha, na atisaktaha. He doesn't have much of renunciation, nor is he very much attached to the world. An ordinary devotee. A little attachment is there, a little detachment is also there. Somebody who is in the middle stage. Such a person who suddenly, in whose mind suddenly devotion to the Lord arises just by listening to either the story or the names, such a person becomes fit for Bhakti Yoga. That is enough. Come on, start. Sri Krishna says in the Uddhava Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Apichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha. There is a person. He is not just a durachari, sudurachari. A very, very bad person of bad character. He has led such a hopeless life. But apichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananya bhak. Something happens in his life, some crisis comes in life, suddenly some purvajanma karma or the effect of some good karma rises in the mind. So he turns towards the Lord. This has happened in the case of many saints. They were sinners, they became saints. Apichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananya bhak. He starts worshipping the Lord, praying to the Lord. He is not interested in anything else. With such intensity he prays. We can call it as Artha Bhakti. A person who is in great difficulty and all his efforts have completely failed to get him out of that situation, then finally he turns towards the Lord. So, even though he might have been a very bad and evil person, the moment he turns towards the Lord and starts praying to him, sadhureva samantavyaha, you must know that he is a sadhu. He is not a papi. Why? Samyak vyavasito hi saha. He has taken the right resolve, determination in his life. From today, I will reform myself. Forget the past. I'll become a totally different person. He makes up his mind and struggles to become better and better. Then such a person, immediately is accepted by the Lord as a sadhu. In another shloka also the Lord says that anyone who takes refuge in him, including people who are full of sin, or the ordinary people of the society, the moment they turn towards the Lord and seek refuge in him, the Lord will definitely accept them, and ultimately they will also reach the highest truth. In the NaradaBhaktiSutra, towards the end, the last few sutras are devoted to describing the practical steps involved in Bhakti Yoga. One such sutra is this: Anindhyayoni adhikriyate paramparyat samanyavat. Who is the adhikari for Bhakti Yoga? Chandilya says, right up to the person who is supposed to be of the lowest birth. You may call it as a Shopachar, a Chandala and so on. Right up to that. One who is in the lowest rung of the social ladder, up to that everybody is accepted or can be accepted for the path of bhakti. Adhikriyate. How do you say this? There is a parampara, paramparyat. What is that parampara? You look at these people. Guha, Shabari, Nanda, Chokhamela, Ravidasa, Kannappa, Tiruppanalvar, all these were auspicious. But they are considered as great devotees of the Lord. Then Ajamila, Ratnakara, Tondaradippudi Alvar, they were great sinners. Then they became great devotees of the Lord. Kabir, Nanak, Tukaram, Sri Ramakrishna, they didn't have any Pustaka Panditya, Grantha Panditya, but still they were extraordinary devotees. So, what is needed is a natural welling up of the devotion towards the Lord. That is enough. All other considerations are secondary. Chandila gives another word here which also is relevant. Samanyavat. There are some dharmas, aspects of character which are samanya, which are common to all the people. Now there is Varna Dharma, there is Ashrama Dharma, there is Samanya Dharma, there is Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma is common to all members of the society. What are they? Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, not stealing things which belong to others. Danam, Shantihi, keeping the mind at peace. Damaha, self-control. Shamaha, mental peace. Akarpanya, being liberal towards other people, not being a jipuna as we say in Kannada. Then Shaucha, cleanliness of the body and the mind. Tapas. All these 10 disciplines are called common disciplines, Samanya Dharma. So just as Samanya Dharma is common to everybody, Bhakti is also can also be common to all members of the society. Then as far as Bhakti Yoga is concerned, is any preliminary discipline or preparation necessary or not? That is the question. And Shankara has given one set of disciplines for us. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi Shatka and Mumukshutva. What is prescribed as the sadhana chatushtaya for the practice of Vedanta can be applied to the practice of Bhakti also. Ramanuja also has given certain preliminary steps. Viveka and Vairagya, Asharahitya. Vimoka is Asharahitya, to be free from desires for the things of the world. Abhyasa, repetition of practice. Then Kriya, helping others who are in difficulties. Then personal purity, like speaking the truth and so on. Then keeping the mind in joy. See, there may be a situation in life which will pull the mind down, but you should resist it and try to keep the mind up. Similarly, Anudharsha, he says, suppose there is a situation in which you may become very, very happy and jump about. But he says, no, cool it. Let not your mind jump up, don't show it to others. So in this way, controlling the various functions of the mind is a necessary discipline to begin the practice of bhakti. So bhakti yoga is also an important discipline. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga also, though Bhakti Yoga is comparatively easier, Bhakti Yoga also needs preliminary preparation, preliminary sadhanas.